Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts, another speed versus rich game. I think that these have been very informative, very fun to watch. Both players having some great understanding of what needs to be done, but still a lot to learn. Kind of the beauty of StarCraft, isn't it? That we're literally watching the best players in the world, and there's errors, like, really all over the place. I don't know, I love that about StarCraft, just how hard it is to actually follow I don't know how to word this, like the correct way to play. Thing is, I think you got to try to look at things by first principles and be like, okay, well, should an attack work in a situation like this, right? But at the same time, you know, everyone's kind of stylistic, and you can overcome bad situations through good execution, and you have to account for the fact that your opponent's going to misplay. And how do you account for that, right? You shouldn't play like your opponent's going to play perfectly. That would be stupid because you'd be giving up a lot of winning situations. Yeah, it's a tough one. I guess that's a decision every StarCraft player has to make for themselves. Anyways, we're on Deja Vu here for their third game. And it looks like gateway into scouting here from Rich. In the meantime, looks like Speed going to make his barracks way down here, so probably a gasless expansion. But if Rich Rich is going in the wrong direction. So there is a world in which maybe he makes a zealot and sends it directly to the north, or maybe he end scouts, something like that. But it looks right now like Speed very likely is going to just be able to get away with his gasless expansion really quickly here. So we'll see about that momentarily. While we kind of wait for this game to get into its first action, I do want to thank you guys for checking out ArtosisCasts. Thanks for the feedback as well within those comments. I do check those out. And, yeah, you know, always kind of looking to change things just slightly here and there, and hopefully over time find some improvements and find where the lines are. Like, okay, is this too much? Is this too little? You know, are we enjoying the way that it's done still, and things like that? You know, I just want StarCraft 1 to continue to grow, and I do think that that is the case, which is great to see as people discover for the first time or rediscover a game from very long ago. What are we, 27 years in? That is literally the best game on Earth. Anyways, Speed up here right now does get hit by that zealot, and so he takes the gas. So there's a zealot on the way. The thing is, if you don't take this gas, you could be making a bunker right now, and maybe this as well, but like it could get very, very messy. As is, you can see the zealot's going to get here, and the Marines are going to have to run away and kind of run around this this bunker a little bit. Yeah, and he focuses down that very, very well, and then has to run away because there's just a little bit too much damage on him. So Speed is actually... that was kind of like a wax on, wax off moment, right, from Mr. Miyagi, where he's like he sees the zealots coming, the probe is coming, so he changes his gasless build into just a very slow factory build. Like, he gets his gas, and you can see this is like a pretty normal thing. If your opponent gets to you before you're comfortable with your command center going down, and you recognize that there's going to be pressure, you generally get the gas going so you can get that factory up a little bit quicker, and you just build your, you know, your defense first. Looking over at Rich's side, he starts his robo before the Nexus. Now, this is not something that is super easy to scout, and I would imagine that he will just go into a very, very fast Reaver here and try to punish. Hard to say what Speed is going to do. Generally, what you want to do with a gasless expansion is go into 2 factories as quickly as you possibly can. But if someone's going very quick Reaver, siege mode and missile turrets are probably just the most important things that you have to kind of focus on getting out. So there's the add-on, sending plenty of SCVs down. We don't see the second factory. We do see a starport. This could end up being really, really good for him. Now, there are 2 things that can happen here. One is that he tries to go into a very quick Vulture drop. The other is that he just makes a Wraith right away. The Wraith right away would be absolutely amazing here, because there's already 2 Zealots out. You know, he saved the Zealots. Speed knows the Zealots are there. Generally, you go into Reaver when you have those early Zealots. They just kind of are like what you put in the shuttle with the Reaver. So I think we're going to see a quick Wraith. And that should get Speed into quite a nice position, but we'll see about that. Shuttle pops out. Reaver on the way. Probes being transferred down. Right now, Speed up by a couple workers, and it'll probably stay right around there for a while. Engineering Bay coming up, and he actually did get the add-on very quickly. So, Siege mode into maybe a double Vulture drop, possibly triple, depending on the timing. But, yeah, it's definitely not an unknown build. Like, this is actually a pretty reasonable way to play if your opponent screws up your build in the early game, because you get some scouting, you get some potential harassment. It's kind of nice. I actually do utilize this build from time to time when I'm doing Gasless Expand. And, you know, you set up the siege tank. You're basically safe against everything, especially with that engineering bay coming up. You can throw down your missile turrets. So here comes the Reaver. Dropship is going to be finishing, but of course the Reaver is going to be there beforehand, which does make it a bit harder. He'll probably start a Wraith right away at that point, but not a lot of anti-air is out right now. So it definitely feels like there's good potential for this Reaver. Now let's see. Drops the Reaver off. He sees the dropship coming as well, so that's kind of a big deal. Looks like he wants to pop that turret, perhaps? No, actually goes after some of the SCVs. Moving his goons up now. Reaver going to be dropped off. We'll try to catch both. Yeah, Reaver definitely doing a bit more damage. Rich out of position there while he's microing, so kind of a big deal. Those, dude, the Vultures are actually getting so much. 2 kills and not sure what that other one has. The Reaver, though, has killed a lot. Look, he's down to 24. He was up by 2. 19. Jesus. Let's see. He's going to drop this one out? No. Well, 18 workers to 35. It's kind of reminiscent of the first game we saw, except he's got 1 tank to counterattack with. Well, the first game, like 2 days ago, if you recall that TVP, where the Reaver did a lot of damage. And so he did end up getting 9 probes himself with the Vultures, the double Vulture drop. So, like, oh, 10. He ends up getting 10 kills himself, but it's nowhere near what the Reaver did. So this game, I'm looking at it, it looks completely over to me. Like, you know, the last time he had 5-6 tanks, he did a counterattack immediately and, you know, found some damage with that, did some Vulture running around. He doesn't really have that here. And I do want to, let's just jump back just a little bit, just for a second here. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he leaves, but, like, I want to point out, if you look at this, so this here and this here, this is an anti-Dark Templar turret, and this is an anti-Shuttle Bust turret, okay? So, like, let's say your opponent wants to bring all their units and use a shuttle to drop on top of tanks that are on the high ground so that they can bust in the natural with their ground units. That's what this turret is hedging against, I guess you could say. This is simply placed so that Dark Templars can't kill you. He had no defense against the Reavers. And when he put down the starport, it's like, okay, well, he's going for a drop, but he doesn't really know what's going on. So this was Speed playing a little bit blind, trying to, he was basically like, okay, I won't die to DT. I'll be okay against a bust. And if he's like, let's say he's expanding, the Vulture drop is a good play because you get a lot of scouting and maybe some damage. So, you know, you can't counter everything. If you try to counter everything, you're really countering nothing. And Rich kind of just had the build, he had the wild card, I guess, that could, in theory, completely dismantle Speed. And Speed did get thusly dismantled. Yeah, I think I would have put a higher percentage chance on a Reaver coming in, but not exactly sure why it went down like that. But anyways, that's what it is. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.